Hey, I'm MossY and I'm standing here in front of the brand new Garmin GTN 750 and 650. GTN Garmin touchscreen navigator. Really exciting. People have been calling in, writing, and saying, hey MossY, can you show us some of those ins and outs on using these new boxes? So let's show you the tips, tricks, and ahas of using the Garmin GTN. Everybody's really excited about the touchscreen interface on the GTNs. In fact, one of the first things a salesman does when demoing the product is break you of the habit of using the concentric knob. But one issue that comes up is, well, what on earth do you do in turbulence? The good news is that Garmin actually thought of this and they created a nice ergonomic bezel around the edge for you to brace your hand on. But in severe turbulence or in case of a touchscreen failure, we found it better to just grab onto that knob. Let's take a look. The concentric knob in the lower right-hand corner of the panel looks a lot like the FMS knobs in other Garmin systems. A key difference with the GTN is that this is a multifunction knob. You can see what the current function of the knob is by looking at this little legend just to the left. In this case, it is telling us that when you turn the knob, you will change the comm frequency, and when you press the knob, it will switch to the nav radios. There are 4 ways to manipulate the concentric knob. Turning the big knob acts like a mover knob. If the cursor is on, you can move it around the screen with the mover knob. When changing radio frequencies, the big knob allows you to change the big numbers. Turning the little knob acts like a changer knob. If a cursor is on, the little knob changes the value in the cursor. When changing radio frequencies, the little knob allows you to change the little numbers. The third way to manipulate the knob is to push it in. In this case, if I push the knob, it switches the cursor over to the nav radio, and I can use the big and little knobs to change the frequency. The fourth and final way to manipulate the knob is to press and hold it. This one is not very intuitive because you don't know what's going to happen until you've already pressed and held the knob. After you hold the knob in, the legend tells you what the knob is going to do when you let go. In this case, you can see that pressing and holding will flip-flop the active and standby frequencies. There are other places in the GTN user interface where you can use the knob. For example, you can enter a transponder code using the knob, or you can enter a flight plan waypoint. Let's look at these in more detail. For entering a transponder code, all I simply have to do is go up to the transponder, tap the current code that's in there, go right to the multifunction concentric knob, and using my mover and changer knob, I'm going to enter in the code of 0714. Use the mover knob, one more over, there's the 4. Now all I have to do is push it in to enter. 0714. For waypoints, let's say that I'm flying along and the turbulence is really bad and my finger's getting bounced all over the screen. Here I get a reroute from ATC. I'm going to push the home button. That's easy enough to do. I can pretty much get my finger on the flight plan button. I'm going to tap PDK, insert before, and now I'm going to go right to the multifunction concentric knob, and I'm going to enter in Greenwood VOR, which is going to be GRD using the mover and changer knob. So I scroll in with the changer knob G, I use the mover knob to move one position over. Now I scroll in using the changer knob, the R, one position over using the mover. Got it, GRD. Now, all I have to do is push it in, which will enter it in. I've got some duplicates. I'll tap the one on the very top, Greenwood, South Carolina, and I was able to use the multifunction concentric knob to enter that into my flight plan. Hypothetically speaking, what would you do if you went to tap the screen and you were unable to get it to work? If you're IFR, you have to realize that your options at this point are pretty limited. At this point, you should switch over to VOR navigation, which on some PFDs is known as green needles. But the big issue with the GPS is you're only going to be able to activate one waypoint at a time using the direct button. So let me ask you this question. What can we use GPS for at this point? Well, you could still use it as DME to shoot a VOR DME approach, but honestly, how long has it been since you've done that? So here's my advice. Just tell ATC that you want to proceed to the closest VFR airport and land, if there is one. It ain't worth it, trust me. Now, it's easy to do. Let me show you how to do this. All I have to do is press the direct button. ATC says to me we're going to divert to Greenville, South Carolina. So you can see in the legend it says edit waypoint or push to activate. I'm just going to use the concentric knob to enter in GSO. KGSO, and notice it says there at the bottom, push to enter. I push the concentric knob in once, and now it says push to activate. So I'm going to push it again, and bingo, I've gotten the Garmin to make the turn to take me to GSO.